dance. Anybody in here have a happy dance? You do? Let's see your happy dance. I don't know about you. I've got a happy dance. Yeah. I think we all do. Most of us have some sort of a, I don't know, things go well. All of us have a happy dance of one kind or another. As most of you know by now, my wife and I always have dogs around our house. It's just, I think it's just written in the Constitution. I don't know. We have two of our own, Bridget and Lady, and then we almost always have at least one in foster care, some little animal awaiting their forever home. Currently, we're giving free room and board to a Corgi Chow mix named Shadow. Now, Shadow's a little sweet dog that cannot understand why she was abandoned by her owners, but she was. She is just as precious as she can be. Right now, she has a temporary home while she's waiting for her forever home. And that almost sounded like a good sermon to me. You know, aren't all of us enjoying our temporary home while we're waiting for our forever home? That'll be a sermon for another day. Around our household, daily walks with the dogs are a part of our rhythm. It's just the rhythm of our life. We've already taken a morning walk with the dogs this day. It happens before I get ready for church and come on to work. It happens before Darlene. We take the walks with our dogs. Shadow, this new little pup that we have in our household right now, lives for her walk. And when the leashes come out, she does her happy dance. That dog jumps. She leaps. She somersaults. I have literally seen her jump over the other dogs. She is so excited. I don't know. Maybe it's because she spent so much time locked up in a kennel. I don't know. You know, the freedom that she has out there on the open highway. And you better make sure you've got hold of the leash, because if she gets loose, that little dog is going to follow her nose. She does her happy dance when she sees the leash. Our other two dogs, Bridget and Lady, they enjoy the walks too, but not quite the same way. They enjoy their walks. But when those food dishes come out, when Darlene gathers them all up and begins to prepare the meal, whether it's morning or evening, Lady does her happy dance. I mean, Lady goes ballistic. She jumps. And she doesn't need to do that. She's had hip surgery. She doesn't need to jump around. She does. And she howls and she barks and she sings. She does her happy dance. Lady is a dog that lives to eat. Bridget, I'll take it or leave it. I only eat so I can live. You know? A happy dance. All of us know them. Shadow and Lady have moments when life is so good and they have a happy dance. All of us are like that too. We have moments in life where we enjoy it so much. We almost want to do a happy dance of some kind. But there are times when we can't dance. There are times when we cannot rejoice or laugh. There are times when it's hard to find any reason to be happy at all. There are times when we hear something we didn't want to hear. There are times when we have to deal with something we didn't want to have to confront. There are times when we come face to face with news that we didn't want to hear, and joy will vanish like that mist and that fog that was in the morning air this morning. There are times when the world we see is not the world we want. There are times when it's hard to dance. Let's have a word of prayer. Loving God, we give you thanks for the joy of this day. Pray that my words and meditations of our hearts will be acceptable in your sight. You are our strength, you are our rock, and you are our Redeemer. Amen. Most of you know, and I've mentioned before, that I have atrial fibrillation. That's just a fancy word to say my heart doesn't beat regularly. Well, that's not true. It does beat regularly all day long. It's just, it's not steady. It's just not steady. I had the condition for several years and didn't even know it, I don't think. We had a Wesley nurse at the little church that I was pastoring in La Feria who spotted it one day when she was just simply doing one of those blood pressure checks that we do in church sometimes, that the Wesley nurses do. And she'd check my blood pressure, and she said, "Blood pressure is really good, Ron." I said, "That's what I want to hear." I did my little happy dance. And then we're talking, and she said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." She said, "How long have you had an irregular heartbeat?" And I said, "Yeah, right." Well, the conversation went on, and she came back to it 2 or 3 times. She said, "You have an irregular heartbeat." This lady was a nurse, and she worked in the ER before becoming a Wesley nurse. And anyhow, the bottom line is she picked up on the fact that I had an irregular heartbeat. So she got me to a doctor. The doctor got to me a cardiologist, and I'm on medication to this day. And hey, I live with it, and it's going to be just fine. There are many people that have different kinds of heart conditions. And today is a day that we call Heart Awareness Sunday. I was commenting to someone earlier with the t-shirts that the employees at the hospital are wearing right now. Oh, they're awesome. You know, they're these red t-shirts, and you know, we're all about healing your heart or something like that. They just really kick. If I'd have really been thinking, I'd have gotten one of those for today's worship service or something. But anyhow, for me, meeting with the doctor and meeting with the cardiologist, getting a little plan worked out, he said, "Hey, exercise, you need to do it." I went, "Got it." Eat smart. I do that sometimes. Most of the time, I'm really pretty good. Life would be a lot easier for me in that area if my wife wasn't such a good cook. No, seriously, we do. My wife and I do watch our diets. We try to eat smart. And I have medications that I take for this too. So I keep up with it. I keep up with it. That little pamphlet I showed you earlier, Dan has got some heart health information for all of us. And it's available on that table there if you'd like to pick up a copy afterwards. God gave each and every one of us a heart. And it's up to us to keep it healthy as we possibly can. It's why you see so many people wearing red during the month of February. Is to remind us how important focusing on our own heart, on our health, how important it really is. People encouraging us to do a good job with it. Today is a day that we want to remember that it is up to us to love our heart. To love our heart enough to do what we need to really take care of it. Jesus talked about the heart a lot himself. Jesus knew how important the heart was. Remember how he said when he was sitting there on the side of the mountain talking to him? It's that little excerpt from the Sermon on the Mount. And using the common English translation, we hear, "Happy are people who have pure hearts, because they will see God." Jesus understood how important the heart was and how important it was to take care of that heart. One day Jesus was having this really tough time with the Pharisees and the scribes. Or maybe it was the other way around. The Pharisees and the scribes were having a hard time with Jesus. They were irritated at the way Jesus' disciples were acting. You see, they couldn't seem to get anything right. They couldn't even wash their hands the right way. They said, "Don't you even care that your own disciples are defiling themselves because they're not washing their hands properly before they eat the meal?" Jesus had a word or two for them. And they didn't particularly like the response that they got from Jesus. The Pharisees and the scribes got a little huffy. So Jesus explained to his disciples, to them and to the disciples. He said, "I'm going to tell you something. Whatever comes out of your mouth starts in the heart. It proceeds from the heart. Not the back of your mouth, not your teeth, it starts in the heart. For out of the heart, Jesus said, comes evil thoughts, murder, adultery, fornication, theft, false witness, slander. He said, those are the things that defile a man. But to eat with unwashed hands, give me a break. That's not exactly the way the translation says it, but that's what it meant. That's in the 15th chapter of Matthew's Gospel. We all say things about other people that are not particularly kind at times. Amen? And we know better. Or at least we should. We've all hurt people that we love, sometimes badly. And we've even hurt people we don't even know. All of us have taken wrong turns at one time or another, maybe done things we never thought we would do. And whenever we take a moment to set aside our pride, we can get a handle on what Jesus was telling his disciples that day. Whenever we kind of get ourselves out of the picture, we understand Jesus was right. Sometimes people break our hearts with the things they say or do. And sometimes we break people's hearts with the things we say and do. But here's where Psalm 51 begins to come into play. Sometimes the heart we break is our own. Let me say that again. Sometimes the heart we break is our own. We sin. We fall short of God's glory, and we can't find that happy dance anywhere. The last few weeks, it seemed like months, the last few weeks we've just finished a 3-part sermon series on John 15, 15:5. Do you remember that verse? I do, because I've got mine right here. Jesus said what? Oh, this was cool. Today in the confirmation class, Pastor Bill did all the I am statements. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear what? Much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. Yeah. We've just finished that 3-part series. Jesus is teaching his followers that he is the vine, we're just mere branches. Jesus shares the simple but profound truth that a life of joy, a life of fruitfulness comes by abiding in him. That relationship, connecting with Jesus and staying there, that relationship matters more than anything else. Our greatest joy is a relationship with God. And it was a break in that relationship that triggered the writing of Psalm 51. Now this psalm is often ascribed to King David. And that time in history when he had a moral meltdown. Saw a beautiful woman, lusted after her, had an affair. She became pregnant. He tried to cover it up. In the process, being the king, he basically murdered her husband to get him out of the way. By putting him in a place in battle he knew he would not survive. Whether that psalm was actually written by David or at this time for David really doesn't matter, because it is a psalm of confession and of brokenness. In fact, it's sometimes called that. It calls to mind the dark moments in our lives, all of our lives, of someone, maybe just like us, whose heart is broken because of a fall. I think all of us could consider Psalm 51 our personal psalm. It's not a very long psalm. It's one of the penitential psalms. And Wes read only a portion of it for us today. During the week, I would encourage you to take a moment and just read that psalm all the way through. If you have a chance to read it in more than one translation, I encourage you to do that too, because I think sometimes it gives us a little bit different insight. While this is considered a psalm of confession, maybe, or the psalm for brokenness, it's also a psalm of restoration and cleansing. It is a psalm of hope, because it's a psalm about God's unconditional love. Psalm 51 contains a prayer. It's a prayer that appeals to God. An appeal to God for love and for compassion. It is the prayer of a desperate person, someone who has forgotten what real joy is like. A young man was out playing basketball on the driveway at his house. He was having a good time, and as he was playing, he realized all of a sudden that, he had a contact lens missing. I don't know how you realize you have a contact lens missing but he realized he had one of his contact lenses missing, and he knew he was probably going to be in more than a little bit of trouble. He was scared, and he began to frantically search for that contact lens on that concrete. And he looked and he looked and he looked, and he was unsuccessful. He could not find that lens anywhere. He goes in the house. He sits down at the kitchen table, and his mom looks at him and says, "Are you okay?" "No, you're going to kill me." She gets the story out of me. Mom leaves the little boy sitting at the table. She goes out to the driveway. 10 minutes later, she comes in and says, "Is this what you lost?" He looked at his mother and he said, "How in the world did you find that so quickly?" I looked and looked and looked and looked, and he said, "I couldn't find it anywhere." She said, "Billy, it's simple. You were looking for a piece of plastic. I was looking for $150. Motivation is everything. Motivation is everything. I've got a question for you today. What will it take to motivate you to be a good steward of your heart? To take care of it with good exercise, proper diet, medications if you need it. And what will motivate you to turn to God if you need to and ask for a cleansing? I love that passage. It says what? "Create in me a clean heart, O God." Say that. Create in me a clean heart. Create. That is not something I do. That is something the divine does. God will do it. But we ask. If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, then remember this. Psalm 51 was written for those who have hidden failures, for those who have a broken heart, for those that have sort of given up on themselves, who carry guilt and shame, for those who have lost their joy. And it was written for those who turn to God for healing.